right. Happy Saturday morning to everybody. Back to MMA Mobsters. We're doing it live on Saturday morning. Fights, of course, are tonight. We were not able to get the show done because of technical difficulties last night. And, of course, MMA Mobsters is brought to you by cellsaviors.org, dimene.com, and grapplersclash.com. And I'm joined, as always, by the amazing, the Chovan One, Joshua Chovan. We got him in a car today. It's a unique story. Josh, you had the injury, falling off the roof, breaking both your ankles, ending up in the hospital, then getting scheduled for surgery. The surgery went well, apparently. You're still alive. That's thank God. And then they didn't have anywhere for you to recover except a nursing home. And so,
yeah, Pat Miletich, first of all, it's good to see you, brother. It's always good to see you. And I'll try not to get emotional, but in the midst of, I'm always been an optimistic glass half full person, but I will say that this weekly show with you and Lee is one of the highlights of my week and gives me a reason to keep on going. So thank you. And thank you to all you fans who have reached out to me. A lot of you have, and it's really touched me. You don't appreciate things until your legs are taken away from you and you're dependent on the kindness of others. So I will say, man, people don't realize how dangerous it is to be a professional sports bettor. You have to worry about Vinny down the road beating you up because you owe him money, and you got to worry about falling off roofs and shattering both of your feet. So people think I live a cushy professional better sports life. I am constantly in danger, and I joke a little bit, but rough injury. I'm doing okay. I've been transported to a Caribou, so I'm not hospital Chovan. I'm Caribou Chovan. But you know what, Pat Miletich? We're going to talk some news. We're going to have some laughs. And like last week where we freaking smashed, we're going to win some bets. How about that, buddy?
all right. So last week we did do well. And so, hey, great. I mean, Lee made some money. You made some money. I am in a state where I cannot, of course, gamble. So I made zero money. And, well, I generally don't bet anyway, so I don't know why I'm complaining. But today you're also at the Caribou Coffee parking lot in a vehicle because you have good signal for your phone. And you also had to escape the hospital or the nursing home because you had Nurse Ratchet this morning, apparently.
Yeah, I won't get any legal issues here, but I had to for the first time. I can say this: I had to for the first time. I've been very appreciative of all the support. For the first time, had someone try to bulldoze me a little bit. Had an old lady try to bully me a little bit, and so I politely stood up for myself. And the hospital had my back. I have not been thrown out in the cold. They said. We'll have a word with her, and we still love each other. Go do your big hit podcast. And I said, okay, I will. So here we are.
All right, beautiful. Okay, so last week we won't get into it. Just we're limited on time, but we can talk about a little bit of news. Strickland was like, well, he caused a lot of chaos in Washington D.C. All that good stuff. But Hokett's comments after his win, I mean, he performed great athlete, and then his comments about Michelle Obama have gotten half the country in an uproar, and half the country thinks it's comical. What's your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I think that it's difficult. I would say a couple things. I would say that I was pleasantly surprised at how well the White House card went. I thought that it was a bit of a spectacle, but they actually pulled it off with much more grace than I thought. And we got some absolutely amazing fights. The O'Malley knockout. The Gane Pereira knockout was a bit underwhelming. There was a lot of illegal shots. But then Gaethje Ilya, we're talking, I mean, it has to be a top 5 fight of all time. And so they achieved that. I'd say that Hokett's allowed to say whatever he wants. You and I are both free speech. The UFC is one of the few organizations left that is at least somewhat free speech. So hats off to them. Hokett can say whatever he wants, and I would say it maybe made the night feel a little less classy, but I don't have any issue with it. And you'll like this. Hockett was just on with Ariel Helwani, who's still kind of the gold standard for MMA journalism, even though he can be kind of a weasel some of the time. And Ariel asked him a very good question. He says, Josh, you said some, pretty disturbing things, some polarizing things about the former first lady, and you're still here. In fact, you're probably fighting for a title shot next. is there anything that you can't say and not get away with? And he looks at Ariel. He's like, there's probably one people group that I can't make fun of. And Ariel says, what's that? He goes, there's one thing I'm not going to joke about. And Ariel goes, what's that, Josh? He goes, you know exactly what that is, Ariel. So I'll just leave it at that. So Hogan's smart, man. He knows there's one people group maybe we don't joke about. And to that I say, you're a wise man, sir.
All right, and then moving on to Dustin Poirier. Poor guy gets arrested, and obviously he was calling out for help beforehand. Weeks and weeks, months and months before the incident in the airport took place, saying that kind of calling out for help a little bit. You could tell, and that incident in the airport, he was obviously struggling with some emotional stuff, and it was. I felt bad for him. I've dealt with alcoholism before, have gotten through that phase of my life, and certainly there's a lot of people that don't make it out. I mean, I've had, I know a lot of people that have not made it out. We'll just put it that way. So, what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Yeah, I guess I mostly wanted to let you speak about it, and I'll just ask you. I know that I have so much respect for you, and you've been an inspiration to so many people in your healing and your journey. And you've said a ton of you should write a book on this, I swear. But you said something really interesting to me the other day. You said that alcohol isn't the issue often. It's just the expression of some deeper pain that needs to be worked on. So it isn't as easy as, hey, why don't you just stop drinking? It's deeper than that. And you have such an interesting insight to that, and you have defeated so many of your demons, and a real hats off to you for that. What would you say to fighters specifically who are dealing with that? Do you think that it's constantly maybe having to medicate your own pain because these guys have lousy insurance? Would you say that it's missing out on the absolute rush and the drug that is fighting and the applause of the crowd, that you seek to fill that void? Is it a case-by-case basis? But I just want to give the floor to you, because you really earned this, to speak to your fellow struggling fighters that maybe need to get help.
I think it goes a lot. It goes a lot deeper than that. I mean, the athletes in particular, because we go through this phase of building ourselves into, what would be considered, I guess, doing things that most humans can't do, right? Whether it's endurance and strength and all these different things, competing at a very high level, certainly in fighting, very intense. And the more you magnify the physical prowess, the more you suppress the emotional, mental, spiritual side of yourself. And even, there could be childhood trauma, could be a lot of other things going on. And that's just the more you suppress it. And then when that's gone, when the physical prowess can't be on display, so to speak, all of a sudden the other sides come out, right? All of the things that we didn't work on necessarily to fix, ourselves and do that, what they call shadow work more than anything, right? To just fix our shit. And so, then the alcoholism can take over, things like that. And I've seen it with a lot of people. I certainly went through it. And luckily made it out of it. So, if Dustin Poirier ever wants to, talk, I'd be happy to, help him at any time, because that's kind of something that I do a lot with folks who have alcoholism and reach out to me, and a lot of veterans, folks that have been through war, stuff like that. So it's fixable. It's certainly fixable. You just got to be willing to do the work. That's all it comes down to. So anyway, let's, I guess, move on to this week, and let's break it down, because we have a limited window, right?
Yeah, fine. That's fine. Not only do we have a limited window, Pat, and I just hats off to you, and well said. That'll be a fantastic clip to put out there. It'll go viral for all the right reasons. Yeah, we should get into fights, Pat Miletich, because UFC Baku, they're walking out right now. So we'll be fine, since we spend about 5 minutes on each pick. We'll be ahead. But I want to just get this first one out of the way, because I love this first pick, and they're going to start fighting in about 1 minute. So let's go ahead and give our pick quickly for the first fight.
Abdulev and Nascimento, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, break it down, baby.
Yeah, Jefferson Nascimento has steamrolled from plus 100 to minus 160. What a way to start off the card. Like I said, UFC Baku starts now. We are live. So that I'm literally watching on a second phone. They're about to walk out, so you can get this now at minus 150. Listen, anytime a guy moves this is a bigger deal than if he was like minus 360 and moved to minus 420. These 60 points mean more because it's a more condensed thing. So his odds have completely flipped. He was plus 100, now he's minus 160. He's a well-rounded guy, like a lot of these Brazilians are. He has jiu-jitsu, he has striking. Look for him to make quick work of Tahir Abdullaev. Now, this is more of a home fight for Abdullaev fighting over there in Baku, but I think as long as Jefferson doesn't let the nerves get to him, look for Nascimento to roll here, and his fight starts in about 40 seconds, so lock that in now. Ding, ding, ding.
All right, and all of these fights that I looked at and researched, I didn't look at the odds at all until I was totally done picking my winners again, and then wrote down the odds on the fights. And so, yeah, I've got Nascimento winning this fight pretty handily. So, all right. Matsumoto and Amakan, break this one down for us, and then I'll throw some stuff out for you as well.
Yeah, we've got line movement again, Pat. It's a little bit less. Matsumoto opened up at minus 150. He's moved to minus 180. So I like him here. There's enough line movement that I can somewhat confidently tailor. It's not massive line movement. The line movement for Nascimento is much more incremental. The Matsumoto, he's another guy who is fairly well-rounded, has seen some success in the UFC, has showed that he's belongs. He can hang with your striking, he can hang with your grappling, he can hang with your wrestling. Look for Matsumoto to get it here. Nascimento is going to be more of a 2-unit bet. I'm sorry, not yet. Nascimento is more of a 2-unit bet, whereas Matsumoto is more of a half-unit, 1-unit bet. But that's where I'm at there.
And I've also got Matsumoto winning this one. And what's interesting, first time I've seen this name since my first MMA fight against Yasunori Matsumoto.
No way. So, I wonder if there's a relation.
Same last name. Well, being Matsumoto, it's, Yasunori Matsumoto grew up in Japan, so it's interesting. Anyway, I've got Matsumoto as well, so we agree on this. All right, moving on to Donchenko and Berggren. Theodore Berggren, UFC debut. Donchenko 2-0 in the UFC. Break it down.
Donchenko's a pretty wild favorite here. But, Pat, we had a couple wild favorites last week. You and I straight, and maybe Lee can whisper in our ears who that was, or my memory will just give it to me eventually. There was about plus 400 underdog that we both liked quite a bit, and he came through. Was it Vallejos or something similar to that? And so here we are once again where we have a minus 500 favorite. I just don't know if I love what the line is doing. So he was minus 500. He goes up. He goes down. He's still minus 500. Donchenko looks to be a pretty good European prospect. He's fighting Theodore Berggren, who is another European prospect. But people aren't rushing to the window to bet Donchenko because when you get these guys who fight in these kind of more watered-down promotions, it's hard to gauge their talent level until they're under the bright lights of a big promotion. So give me Donchenko. I rarely fade a minus 500 favorite, although we did last week, and we got a victory lap how we both hit that plus 400 last week. But I'm going to narrowly lean Donchenko at minus 500, but those odds are expensive, so it's only going to be a half-unit bet.
All right, yeah, I've got Donchenko as well, and Donchenko being 2-0 in the UFC, but that's, competition has been so-so, and honestly, Berggren's competition hasn't been stellar as well, so at 8-3 getting your UFC debut, I still am amazed that it's happening.
Yep.
People, anyway, moving on. So I agree with you, Donchenko. Ofi versus Reyes. Reyes 1-0 in the UFC. Ofi at 2-2. Ofi's had a little better competition, in my humble opinion, moving up through the ranks. And so, break it down for me, even though both have a good number of fights under their belt.
Yeah, big mover for Javier Reyes here. And again, this is what we're talking about. When a guy is a lower favorite, I get I'll just give you an example. For instance, I get more excited when a minus 150 moves to a minus 230 than I do when like a minus 500 moves to a minus 650. So it's all a math thing. My math nerds at home know what I'm talking about. So when we look at Javier Reyes, minus 155 to minus 235, it's a big deal. It's about an 85-point line movement. Javier Reyes is a crisp striker. He has finishing power, and he's shown that at a UFC level. This is one of those guys, Pat, that I think maybe even came into the UFC a bit young and has, unlike many, proved that he's belongs. I like Ofli too. Both these guys are a little bit UFC battle tested. I just think that Reyes is a step up for Ofli that he won't quite handle. Give me Reyes here. Good solid unit bet on Javier Reyes to win.
Yeah, and I take Reyes as well. His competition isn't quite as good over this period of time for him. Even though at 23-5, which is a lot of fights, a lot of experience, I looked at the overall competition on his way up and what I would consider kind of mid range to so-so. And Ofi's actually had a little tougher schedule overall, maybe. But anyway, all right, I agree with you. I pick Reyes as well. Puliev versus Ruzabayev. I can't even read my own writing because I'm chicken scratching through all
I
these
think that
fucking numbers.
Anik on the broadcast pronounces it Ruzabayev.
Ruzabayev, yeah. And
I hate
so
this
go
fight,
ahead.
Pat Miletich. It's
Why?
sorry, I
Why?
didn't mean to
Why do
cut
you
you off.
hate this fight? What's your problem?
I hate this fight just because Ruzabayev is a difficult guy. He's talented, but he's not responsible. Anytime that I've bet on Ruzabayev and I've won, I've felt lucky, like I almost cheated the MMA betting gods. And anytime that he's lost, I'm like, well, you could have seen that coming a mile away. So I think that he may be a bit overhyped, and I think that the line reflects it. The issue is I have the same problems with Pelayev. I think that both guys are very streaky, and that's what you're going to run into here. And it's only 8:17, so I'm going to ask you one quick question here, Pat. How do you deal with streaky guys who are maybe streaky in the gym? On Tuesday morning, they look like the next world champion. On Wednesday afternoon, they look like they don't want to be there and they want to go back home to Maryland or something. These guys only fight once or twice, maximum 3 times a year. How do you get a guy in his best physical and mental space to put months of training into sometimes a 1 minute, 10 minute, 15-minute fight? Both as a coach and an athlete, how do you do that? Because both these guys are obviously streaky, and when they're on, they look like a future world champion. When they're off, they look awful. How do you deal with fighters like that?
Boy, it's interesting. I mean, I've had athletes that are world beaters in the gym and then fall apart under the pressure in fights, and then I've had most of the time guys that even through a rough camp of just not performing great and being injured or whatever,
Suddenly show up
who
on fight night?
they just put it together. Tim Sylvia is one of those guys that he just would put it together on fight night type stuff. So he would muscle through stuff. It just depends. But here's what I want you to do before we move on. I want you to look at the records of Ruzabayev's opponents. Go to Tapology, and I want you to go down, and I want you to, from the beginning of, where he's about, 6, 7, 10 fights in, start reading the records of his opponents.
Oh,
And
Pat, this is like Khabib level golden path to the UFC belt.
this is, I mean, I wrote cans. He's
Yeah.
fought almost nothing but cans.
Yeah.
Yeah, start reading those records out loud for everybody.
Yeah, let me pull that up real quick. And even the guys that he's fought, oh man. So 36-9-2 looks pretty impressive on paper until you dig into let's see. Who did he fight for like his 10th fight in? All right, his 10th fight in. Oh no, Pat. for he's 7-2, and he's fighting a guy who's 0-0. So that's how he got win number 9. Of course
Yeah,
he
just
beats
start
the
reading
guy
the
with,
records up from there.
yeah, 1-0. For his 14th fight ever, he fought a guy who's 0-2. This is criminal, Pat. For his
Yeah, go
16th
ahead.
fight, he fought a guy who was 0-1.
Yes, keep going. Keep going.
That's enough. I can't handle anymore. I'm on medication. I can't do this.
This
This
is
is
this is the sort
awful.
of thing. This is the sort of thing that makes me lean towards the other fighter. But Pulayev's competition is so as well. It's not near, it's not as bad, but it's not great. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard.
I'm going to make a command decision, and great call on the records there, Pat. This does seem to happen to the Eastern European guys a lot. So they obviously saw something in Ruzabayev, and he was the promised one who got to fight all the cans all the way to the UFC. You know what? I've seen enough between the wonderful analysis from my co-host Pat and the fact that Ruzabayev has dropped from -250 to -175 on Bet Rivers. We have our first MMA Mobsters underdog pick of the morning because these are morning fights. This fight's a good 2 hours away, so we're still good. You still have plenty of time to
Pulayev
make your
has a
bet.
shot. You're saying Pulayev has a shot.
I'm going to pick Pulayev straight up, half unit bet, plus 175. That's my first underdog pick of the day.
All right, so half unit bet by Josh on that one. And yeah, when I read the records, I thought, dear God, it just doesn't get like they were dumping them out of wheelchairs into the cage. It's
I
fucking
mean,
brutal.
I was okay until I saw he was 13-3 going. So he's 13-3, and he's fighting a guy who's 0-1 and beat him in like 30 seconds. That's when I almost spit out my Caribou coffee and fell out of my seat. And Pat, if I fall out of my seat, like, you're
You
looking
got
around,
problems. You
it
got
may take me a
problems.
while to get up. So yeah,
You
give me the
definitely,
underdog there.
by the time you get done rehabbing and I get a hold of you and start doing some strength and some work with you, and we dump a
I
bunch of
mean,
cell
they
savior
are,
supplements into you, you're going to be
yeah,
brand new. Which,
they are forcing me to work out an hour a day. So between that and the liquid diet, I may accidentally get myself looking sexy again here. So
oh,
yeah.
you got beautiful, beautiful. All right, moving on to the next, moving on to the next fight. Julius Walker. Again, my own scratch writing. Yakayev. Is that Yakayev?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yakayev versus Walker, number 27 versus number 28 in the world. Walker's 1-2 in the UFC. Yakayev is 2-0, undefeated overall with his record. What say you, Oracle?
Yeah. So this is a bit of, I'm sure that you've looked at the very interesting resume of one Julius Walker. He is the brother of Johnny Walker, and I've always been a little hesitant on famous UFC brothers. We have very rarely seen the sibling achieve, just because he's siblings with the guy doesn't mean he has all their talents. Obviously, Valentina Shevchenko, one of the greatest of all time, and Janina Shevchenko, a below average fighter. Kamaru Usman, one of the greatest of all time. Muhammad Usman, a below average fighter. Neither are in the UFC. So, but for personality, these Walker boys are fucking nuts. Julius Walker is just as crazy, if not crazier, than his infamously crazy brother. I love the Walker brothers. I'd love to have them on the podcast sometime, even though they probably don't speak a lick of English. We could still have fun. So Julius Walker wins every fight by heel hook. He is heel hook or bust. Cormier even famously said on the broadcast, I have no idea how this guy keeps getting the heel hooks, but eventually he's going to face a guy who can stop heel hooks. Then he's going to be in trouble. I think that's what the UFC is handing him here, because the UFC is getting in a territory with this guy where they're like, this, pardon my French, this is not how I think about Julius Walker, but they're like, Dana White's got to be saying, and this is Dana's words, not mine, this bozo's going to get a title shot soon. If we can't, he keeps finishing everyone by leg lock. Let's test him. If he beats this guy, maybe he's legit. He likely won't. Yakiev, you watch Yakiev, he defends submissions, he defends grappling very well, and he can strike. This is set up to maybe knock Julius Walker down a peg, avoid a big raise, because if he wins again, they got to give him a big raise. So This is set up for Walker to lose. Look for Rakhman Yakiev, who is a very talented fighter, to shut down the leg locks and then really do whatever he wants with Julius Walker. This is no disrespect to Julius Walker. He could very easily leg lock me. I just don't think he can leg lock Yakiev. The incredible run of leg lock submission stops this morning. Give me Yakiev. Put him in all your parlays. Put the mortgage on him. If he loses, what are you going to do? Beat me up? I already got 2 broken legs. Do your worst, people. Yakiev is the Chovan smash of the week. Let's go.
All right. And I think you should get a T-shirt. I think, considering you have casts on both ankles, get a T-shirt that says, "I just fought Julius Walker."
Yeah, he heard me talking shit and he leg locked both legs. Yeah, that's good.
There you go. All right. I've got Yakiev as well. So everybody out there that's listening to this, slap your bets down on Yakiev. All right. Hasanov versus Nolan. Nolan 0-1 in the UFC. Hasanov is 3-0 in LFA, making his UFC debut. 5-0 overall. Getting into the UFC with only 5 fights. Competition has been not that good to get there. I mean, shit, I'm going to change my name and get into the UFC, fight like 5 cans, get into the UFC. You know, I'll dye my hair black again, brown, and go. I mean, what's going on? Anyway, I bust the UFC's balls on a lot of things, but look, I have to. I guess I took the road that was 20 some fights before I even got in there. So it is the way it is. But anyway, Nolan or Hasanov, what's your pick, bud?
Yeah, you and I, obviously Hasanov having a few LFA fights is good. That's one of the few feeder promotions that you and I still have respect for as far as them putting at least some decent competition in front of them. I think that should almost be the preferred route to the UFC. Is you have a few at your more local backwater promotion, and then either KSW or LFA, PFL, even though they barely even do events anymore. So at least he's got the LFA backing behind him, and the line movement kind of reflects that. Pat Miletich. Hasanov opened up at minus 155. He's minus 175. I said it once before in the show. I'll say it again. Going from minus 150 to minus 170 is a bigger deal than going from minus 400 to minus 420. Shout out 420. So I like it. He's going to be a half unit bet. I don't know a ton about him, but I've watched a little bit of tape. I think that he can do everything Nolan does, except a little bit better. I'm like you. I love the LFA experience. I think that's a great stepping stone to the UFC. Much healthier. Give me Hasanov, half unit bet. I like the move from 155 to 175.
All right. I'm with you on Hasanov as well. God, we're just getting along, man. This is great. All right. Moving to
We got to disagree.
We may. All right. Mogomedov against Oleg Chuck.
Olin Jacek.
I mean, dude, the last name, Oleg Chik. It's I have fun with it. Yes, I do. But Magomedov at 4-3 in the UFC, and 10-7 for Oleg Chikov. Solid competition coming up. Tell me about it.
So I apologize that my co-host had a stroke trying to say that name. I believe it's Olin Jacek, but Pat will never stop mispronouncing names. That's going to be one of the bits for MMA Mobsters.
I have to have fun with it. I have to look.
So,
here's the thing. Hold on 1 second.
Line movement here for. I'm sorry. What was that, brother?
Well, here's the thing. I don't have the benefit of. When I was calling fights for the LFA or other organizations, we would have, after their weigh-ins, we would have the fighter meetings. We would meet with each one. We would ask them how their camp went, what's going on, what their game plan was, all these different. And how do I pronounce your last name? And then write it down so that we didn't get it wrong while we were doing the broadcast. I don't have that benefit. So I will deliberately say, I will butcher the name on purpose. Just because I don't care, because I don't know. It's not that I don't care. It's just that maybe we should have a production meeting before we do these things, and we should all agree on how to say the guy's last name.
We
Just
certainly
maybe.
could, but I am gonna throw out there, as long as you're mentioning that, promotions who are looking for commentators. You've got one in the best of the world, and he's a free agent here. In fact, you have two pretty damn good ones, both me and Pat. Obviously, Pat has done 100 times more broadcasting than I have, but Pat and I have worked together. You can look up the Caged Aggressions, 3 different events in 2023 that we called. We'll even bring our buddy, the legend Jason Burmis, with us, and the three of us can call some MMA fights. So if you need someone, you've got some free agents here, and you will have certainly one of the best in the world with Pat Miletich. The guys work for ESPN, Showtime, everyone. So I will throw that out
Well,
there,
and you
and
can the
he'll
interesting
even
part is
pronounce
you
the
can
names
actually
correctly. How about that? What was that?
you can actually bring the betting knowledge and experience to the broadcast, which is great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So speaking of betting knowledge, this is one of my favorite line clips of the week. We have a full-on pop up a pow. We have a full-on underdog flipping the favorite here, homie. Check this out. Olin Jachuk -1 plus 120 on Caesars. They start him out at. They're like, it's a close fight, but we're gonna make you a small underdog. The bettors said, no, 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 no. You deserve to be the favorite. We're all Michael Olin Jachuk fans this week. I don't know. Maybe he heard how Pat Miletich was pronouncing his name, and he got a chip on his shoulder. I don't know, but this guy's gonna come out and smash here. Started out at plus 120. He's minus 120 now. That is a full underdog flip to favorite. That's gonna be a 2-unit bet. A boost Magomedov is very dangerous for about the first 3 minutes. If he doesn't get you out in the first 3 minutes, very similar to a guy who fought a couple weeks ago named Edmund Shabazian. He won that first round against Brendan Allen. So what did I do? I put even more money on Brendan Allen because I knew Shabazian was going to slow down in the second or third rounds. Some of these fighters, man, and all the respect in the world to them, they could certainly, I wouldn't survive 2 minutes in there with them, but if you can, you will probably win the fight. These guys turn into pumpkins after about 2 or 3 minutes, and they are totally different fighters, and it's a much worse fighter. So survive the first 2 or 3 minutes with a boost Magomedov, then look for Olin Jachuk. Straight striking. He puts guys out cold. Smiling Sam Alvey was down for about 15 minutes, had to get stretchered out after what Olin Jachuk did to him. He's a Polish kid. He's still evolving. He's still getting better. Fell into kind of a bad Kevin Holland armbar. So, listen, don't bet everything you have on him, but it's a bet that I like a lot. Olin Jachuk, and especially if this fight gets into a second round, if you bet $100 on Olin Jachuk, bet $100 on him again live, because if it gets into the second round, he gets more likely to win the longer this fight goes. Olin Jachuk, what do you think, Ben?
I do lean a little bit toward Olin Jachuk, but the thing that is a glaring weakness for me, he's 1-6 when it comes to finishes on the ground. So ground skills have not been stellar. We'll just say that. So if Magomedov is going to beat him, it's probably going to be on the ground, although both these guys have a shitload of knockout victories. Magomedov at 14-2 in the KO TKO division, and Olin Jachuk at 16-1. So, I mean, I'm leaning toward Olin Jachuk, but that glaring weakness does make me a little nervous if the fight hits the ground in the first round. We'll see how that breaks down, but I'm leaning with you a little bit towards Olin Jachuk.
If you don't have this, then we can maybe move on to the next fight, and Lee could eventually pull it up. Do you have Boos's ground record written down? Because I know that
Yeah,
Boos
yeah.
is more of
Magomedov
a.
is 7-7. Magomedov is 7-3 on the ground.
Oh damn! Well, now you got me doubting my pick a little bit.
I I mean
Olin
it's
Jachuk.
kind of a toss up. It's a toss up
Yeah,
fight in my humble
yeah.
opinion.
I didn't realize that. So, and it's interesting with these fighters, Pat, how coming to the UFC will often turn them into a different animal. Boos has been much more of a striker in the UFC, kind of known as a 3 minutes of hell, powerful knockout blows, and then he gets tired. Hasn't really
Right.
shown off that submission skills in the UFC. Good on you for digging that up. It's not like he's lost his jiu-jitsu skills. He's just taken the path of knockout. So if he gets Owen Jacek down, especially in the first round, I'm gonna be puckering up a little bit. I'm gonna be a little bit nervous because Owen Jacek can be exposed a little bit on the ground. I didn't realize Abus had that in his back pocket. Owen Jacek's still the pick. He flipped lines for a reason, but good point, Pat.
There you go. Okay, moving on to Bruno Ferreira against Alaskarov. Ikram Alaskarov 4-1 in the UFC. Ferreira at 6-3 in the UFC. 15-3 overall for 70, and then 17-2 for Alaskarov. Who's the favorite? Who do you got, and why?
Ikram Aliskarov. I pronounce it similar to Pat. I just put the emphasis on a different syllable. So Ikram Aliskarov opened up at minus 240. He liked that bet. He's minus 300 now. Another line movement for the win here. Listen, Bruno Ferreira, another guy who after the first round kind of turns into a pumpkin at midnight, and not in a good way. Kind of gets a little bit tired. He's a big boy. He can thump. He's got some. He's a really good Brazilian prospect. Power and submission skills. He can finish you many different ways there in that first round, and then he tuckers out a little bit. Ikram Aliskarov has some gas tank issues of his own. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't even looked at it because I've been focused on just winners and losers this week. But I would imagine fight doesn't go the distance. Has to be over minus 500 for this fight. Maybe Lee can tell us. But this fight, very unlikely to go to decision because both guys are kind of one-round fighters. I don't even hate betting fight ends in the first round. Maybe Lee can dig that up for us. This is hard, man. I'm going to narrowly go with Aliskarov, but I think someone's going night-night, whether it be due to strikes or due to choke. There in the first round, one of these guys is going to get stretchered out of the octagon, and one of these guys is going to win you your bet. I'm going to lean Aliskarov, but don't put your house on it. And so what my producer's going to tell me here. What was that? All right, so Lee's saying that, yeah, it looks like you can get pretty good odds. So if both fighters are plus money to win in the first round, that means that fight ends in the first round will be plus money also. So go look that up. That fight probably goes off in about 3.5 hours, so you got plenty of time. Shout out to our live watchers here early in the morning. I know that Jeremy's in there and Sharon and several others, so we appreciate that. So, yeah, I like it. Aliskarov, I don't mind also betting Aliskarov wins in the first round. Or if you want to hedge a little bit, just bet somebody wins in the first round. That's my bet. What do you got, Miletich?
I agree with you. I've got Aliskarov a little bit, and definitely, both have, great records in terms of finishes on the ground. Certainly pretty good standing up as well. When I look at them on paper, competition solid, for both of them. So it's on paper, you look at it and then you break it down a little bit. I lean a little bit towards Aliskarov as well when I look at the two of them a little closer. So I agree with you. So we're just going right up the chart here, agreeing with each other all the way up.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go on to Almabayev versus Charles Johnson. Johnson 8-6 in the UFC. Almabayev is 6-1 in the UFC. Done pretty well. 11-2 overall. Doesn't have the experience that Johnson does, but he's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So that's got me leaning a little bit towards Almabayev. Talk to me a little bit here, buddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take one ticket on the Almabayev train with you. Listen, and this is something that you'll probably like, Pat. I'm surprised that in 3.5 years of working together, we've never talked about this. So there is a kind of condescending term that MMA bettors will use, and we're not trying to be dicks, but we are trying to separate ourselves from groupthink and just I'm going to follow what everyone else is doing. And so maybe a little bit of arrogance is good some of the time because it saves us money. So MMA math, I'll give you an example of MMA math, Pat Miletich. Asu Almabayev just fought, I believe in his 2 fights ago, fought Manel Kopp. Manel Kopp kicked his butt up and down the octagon. Asu, it was always going to be chase those takedowns because Manel Kopp was very one-dimensional when he came into the UFC, was not great at stopping takedowns, and was not great at leading the dance. He was much more of a Floyd Mayweather counter striker. So if a guy wouldn't
Right.
engage with him, they would just stand there and stare at each other. And then he fixed that. He became more of the aggressor, and he never looked better than he did in that Ambabayev fight. He did look pretty damn good last week against Horiguchi, but against Ambabayev, didn't wait for Ambabayev to come to him, marched him down, and Ambabayev shoots a couple takedowns. Manel Kopp shucks him off like a pro, man. He has been working with Daniel Cormier and Cain Velasquez at that camp in San Jose. Oh boy, does it show. Good for him. So, I mean, just because Asu lost to Manel Kopp, I think Manel Kopp's going to fight for a championship here in a few months. There's no shame in that. Charles Johnson is the only guy to beat UFC champion Joshua Van, but that's kind of MMA math. I mean, every fight's different. It isn't, fighter A beat fighter B, so fighter B will beat fighter C. That's not how it works, man. That's when I say MMA math can be dangerous. You got to look at every fight differently. It's going to be its own thing. So in this particular fight, I think Charles Johnson is going to get railroaded, unfortunately. He's a good kid. I think you know him personally, have called some of his fights there in LFA. Asu is going to be too much for him. He opened up at minus 230. He's minus 290 now. I think that Asu is on his way up. You can even buy low here. And Charles Johnson has just not looked like himself. Alex Torres demolished the guy in the first round. I think hit him about 100 times before they finally called the fight. I think Asu's got it here. But, man, it's hard for me because if it weren't for the line movement, I'd be saying Charles Johnson all day. The line movement to me says, unfortunately, Charles Johnson's best days are behind him. I'm going to listen to my head, not my heart. I'm going to go with Almabayev here. If Charles Johnson pulls out the upset, I'm going to be pissed because I like him a lot. But I have to listen to the head here, listen to the line movement, Almabayev all day.
All right. I agree with you, Almabayev as well. So he continues to roll in the UFC. All right, moving on to Sadikov versus Camilo. Excuse me. Camilo at 1-1 in the UFC. Sadikov at 4-1, 11-2 overall. Both guys 4-1 in their last 5 fights, and I would say the schedule for both leans toward Nazim a little bit here. He's had pretty good competition on his way up. What say you?
Oh, look at that, Pat. Our first disagreement of the day. I think that we'll be fine. We may need to go to counseling, but I think that we'll recover. Our first minor disagreement, brother. I like the other guy just because the line movement is going his way. Sadikov can be a bit sparky. He can look really good. He can look not so good. I believe he's a former PFL or Bellator guy now in the UFC. UFC bettors aren't quite sure what to do with Sadikov. He opened up at minus 225. He's now minus 180. That's not screaming to me, pawn everything that I own and put it all on Mateus Camillo here at plus 180. But it is saying if you gave me $100 and said you have to bet it on one of these two fighters, I'm going to take Camillo at plus 180. I'm sorry, plus 150. I think it's more of a coin flip fight, and that's why we're seeing the Sadikov line regress a little bit. So there you go, folks. We agreed up until this point that Miletich and I still love each other. Everything's fine. But we're going to slightly disagree on this fight. And next week, one of us will get to do a little victory lap. How's that? Or 2 weeks from
All
now, because
right.
there's no UFC next week.
Right. All right. I like it. All right. I lean a little bit towards Sadikov. So yeah, it's on paper pretty tight fight. I just think Sadikov has had a little tougher road to get there, and he's got pretty good record in the standing area. And Camillo is 2-3 on the ground, where Sadikov is 2-1. Both guys, like I said, 4-1 in their last 5, but schedule a little tougher for Sadikov to get there. So we'll see. All right, moving on to the co-main event: Michael Pereira versus Magomedov. Shara Magomedov at 5-1, and Pereira at 10-5 in the UFC. What do you say, bud? What do you say?
I hate this. I hate this fight again, Pat. This is making me pull my hair out a little bit, and I got more hair. Got more hair now than ever to pull out. Listen, I think both guys are kind of urban legends. On one hand, you have the flying trapeze artist, Michel Pereira, who is just a fascinating guy. He will do about 10 backflips on his way out to the octagon, and then seems surprised when he runs out of energy in the second round. But man, if you can talk about a guy who can be really good or really bad, prime Michel Pereira looks like one of the most dangerous guys in the division. The issue is bit of cage IQ, but he's shown us good. He's shown us bad. Maybe he's on a bit of the bad thing, but he did fight Fluffy Hernandez. Fluffy Hernandez, unless you're Sean Strickland, he chews everyone up like that. He wears everyone down. He grinds everyone down and makes them look like a little kid fighting his dad, basically. So there's no shame in getting destroyed by Fluffy Hernandez, and that makes what Sean Strickland did to him even more impressive. Obviously, that gave Strickland the shot to derail Khamzat, who had also looked invincible. So shout out the great American white hope, Sean Strickland. But when I look at this co-main event here, Pat, it's hard because I don't want to bet Shara Magomedov at minus 400. He's got the urban legend of his own, the one-eyed pirate from Dagestan. But Shara got beat by Michael Venom Page, who's a very similar kind of karate point fighter to Michel Pereira. So he obviously struggles with this kind of style. If Michel Pereira is still halfway there and hasn't fallen off, remember, he won his last fight by split decision. So the man ain't dead yet. Yes, he seems to be on the decline, but man, I hate this fight. I want to get your take first, and then I'll make a pick.
Well, Pereira is, he's wild, right? He goes out with reckless abandon.
Both guys are wild.
Yeah, and Magomedov 12-0 in the KO, TKO area. Pereira at 11-3, but where Pereira could pull it off on the ground. I mean, he's pretty impressive on the ground. He's a very good sub game. Magomedov is 0-0 on the ground, probably due to his prowess in wrestling and stopping takedowns and being a heavy-handed fighter. It's more of a toss-up than the odds maybe say. What are the odds at now? When I wrote them down, Magomedov was a minus 335 favorite. Where are they at now?
Well, good on you for getting your research in early, because that's exactly where he started, Pat. He's up to minus 400 on almost every sports book now, so he's made about a 70-point jump. So that, in the end, is going to make me lean the one-eyed Russian pirate, Shara Magomedov, but I'm a little bit nervous. I'm going to go ahead and put a unit on it because the line movement says that I should, but I'm gonna hesitantly put a full unit bet on Shara Magomedov to beat Michel Pereira because he should. But I just want a little disclaimer: this fight makes me very uncomfortable putting my hard-earned money on it. But Magomedov's the pick.
Yeah, and I picked Magomedov before I looked at the odds, so I concur with you on this one. I'll go with Magomedov as well. All right, moving on to the main event. And remember, for anybody out there that wants to win some Cell Saviors and Diamine Ink clothing, pick the winner of the match, how it happens, and what round. And if you get it correct, you win some Diamine Ink clothing and some Cell Saviors supplements, and you'll be down the road in style and feeling good. All right, Fiziev versus Torres. Torres 5-1 in the UFC. Fiziev is 7-5. 13-5 overall, so every loss he's had has been in the UFC, and more than half the victories he's had have happened in the UFC. Came in at 6-0, not a lot of experience, but somehow got into the UFC as well. A lot of these kids getting in early in their careers. All right, Torres, Fiziev, how do you break this down?
Yeah, and I just want to say it is 8:48 now. Great job steering the ship here, Captain Pat. We have plenty of time to break down this fight, answer any live chat questions, and then say we won't be in your lives next week. But oh boy, will we be back in your live in 2 weeks because it's Conor McGregor time, baby. We get our 4th mega card of the year. So great job on time. Shout out the best producer in the game, Lee. And just I won't put his business out on the street, but condolences and love to him today, and just have him in your thoughts and prayers, him and his family today. Thank you, Lee. You are the best. Main event time here, buddy. I got a crazy bet here, Pat. I'm just going to get right to it. I like fight goes the distance. It's like plus 400. It's a massive number. I don't understand why fight doesn't go as minus 600. That seems ridiculous to me. It could very well end in a finish, but Fiziev, he gets into wars, man. Look at like his last 3 or 4 fights. I don't even have to look because my autistic crazy brain just pulls it up. But I know he's fought Gaethje twice and they've gone to decision. I know he's fought Bahamondes and they've gone to decision. I mean, that Lee can pull it up, but that I believe is his last 3 fights. Is Gaethje, and then Bahamondes, it's kind of a Gaethje sandwich with Bahamondes in there, and they both beat the crap out of each other, and they all went to decisions. So, and I mean, I look at Manny Torres. No, it's not like he's getting knocked out all the time. Both guys are going to thump each other, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're both there in the 5th round, both leaking blood out of their blood, nose, eyes, and God knows what else. And it's going to be an amazing fight, one of the best fights of the year. It goes to decision, and you could take your plus 400 and go buy your girlfriend a nice dinner. I like this bet, man. And as far as a winner, I'm going to go Torres because he did start out at plus 100. He's minus 110 now. You may say, oh, Chovan, that's a tiny line movement. I get it, but these main events are picked over like a vulture picking over the carcass of a bull on the highway. Like these lines are. Everyone wants to bet the main event, so everyone and their mom is betting the main event. So there's more money on this fight than any other fight. So for main events, just a little line movement will sometimes speak to me. Give me Manny Torres at minus 110 to win. And hell, man, have a little bit of fun. Don't go crazy. But I don't mind a nice, fun little bet on fight goes the distance at plus 400. That would be a great way to end the card for everyone.
All right, I'm going with you, buddy. Torres by decision in this fight. And so remember, anybody out there that wants to win some cell saviors, some diamine clothing, pick the winner, the round, how it ends. And you too can walk around in style, feeling good with your cell saviors coursing through your veins and putting the diamine ink on your meat suit, having a great display of clothing. So, yeah, I'm going with Torres. And then there's some questions in here for us, Josh, that I wanted to come up with.
It's live questions. I cannot see them, so you will have to read them.
Hamzamir says, what if Lara Trump is a man next? What happens? Well, I think Lara is a woman. I'm not even going to speak to Michelle Obama. I think that people have, gravitated towards conspiracy theories a lot. God knows I have. I hosted a podcast called The Conspiracy Farm for a decade before, before COVID even happened. But either way, I will say this: when we talk about first ladies and being men, all you have to do is look at Barbara Bush and then Aleister Crowley. Look,
okay.
If you want to go down the conspiracy,
okay.
Barbara Bush is the daughter of Aleister Crowley and potentially the son, actually, of Aleister Crowley. And so take a look at those two, and that's the conspiracy.
Okay. And I will.
That's
and
the conspiracy for the day.
I will. Our producer will like these poker references. I will see your bet, and I will raise you John Legend, the famous "You give all to me, and I give all to you." That guy and his wife. Look into the conspiracy theory that he was born a woman, became a man. She was born a man, became a woman. You will never, Chrissy Teigen, John Legend. You will never see them the same again. And I'm just gonna say this. There is nothing wrong with having a little bit of fun with these conspiracy theories. These people are billionaires. Words shouldn't hurt them anyway. And just there's a time and a place for these things. And that's one thing that I appreciate and respect so much about Miletich is he isn't going to try to cancel you for having a little bit of fun. And so I'll go right back to what Hokett said. You can joke about almost anything. There might be one people group that'll try to hunt you down and get you if you joke about them. But I think this, I kind of have to pass on that anyway. So, what was his question about Laura? Okay, let's move on to the next question. I don't have much else for that.
Well, we can say that Fallon Fox is a man.
Yes, we can officially say that Fallon Fox is a man. and a woman, I think Heather Rose Clark, beat the fuck out of Fallon Fox. So good for everyone. She wanted
All
to
right,
fight
so
women. She fought woman, and a woman beat her up. So there we go.
yeah, and Hamzamir says, just basically saying that he hopes Dustin can beat his demons, which I think he can. And prayers out to Dustin. And sober is cool, Hamzamir says. So yes, it is. So thank you, Hamzamir, for that. All right. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share all MMA Mobsters, the shows, the social media, the videos on YouTube. Please share as much as you can. And Josh, do you have anything in closing? We're going to have a 2-week break here.
I'll just say in sign off here, another fantastic show, brother. We continue to move onward and upward. The views go up. I mean, it's really interesting how different people digest this. We certainly appreciate the live viewers. We appreciate how we'll have over 100 people who will watch our shows after the UFC event because they just love seeing me and Miletich banter back and forth. Maybe they aren't bettors, so we love that. We love people who digest our show through Instagram and TikTok. We will almost always... I look at our TikTok views and Instagram. It's 5,000 people watch this, and 10,000 people watch this, and 30 people commented, and half of them are calling me an idiot, and half of them love us. That's great. We love it. This is wonderful. So when we are not in your lives next week, you do not have to call the Minnesota hospital system. Nurse Ratchet has not kidnapped me and has not locked me in a closet. There is no UFC next week. Enjoy your 4th of July in 2 weeks. Conor McGregor, Max Holloway. It's our 4th super card of 2026. This is why me and Miletich started doing the show again. They're like, they are giving it to us on a platter. MMA is going from maybe the 8th biggest sport in the world to the biggest sport in the world because we have Strickland Kamzat, the Ronda Rousey card, the White House card, and now Conor McGregor. Love him or hate him, he's the biggest star we've ever seen in MMA. He's back in our lives. 2 weeks from now, we're going to have an amazing show. Maybe we'll do something special, but we almost don't have to because it's freaking Conor McGregor. What do you think, Pat?
Hey, I'm excited. We've got plenty of time to analyze the fights that are coming up after the 4th of July. Enjoy your 4th of July. And if there is, by chance, an alien invasion on the 4th of July, just remember it is Operation Bluebeam. It was created by NASA, and just laugh and point.
Hey, how's my form here, Pat? Elbows in?
You're looking good, buddy. And I want everybody to place your bets on whether Josh has a new hairdo or not coming up in 2 weeks. I bet he does. So, all right.
It's getting a little itchy.
For my co-host Joshua Chovan, wishing him all the best recovery after his surgery. I'm Pat Miletich. See you guys in a couple of weeks.
Hey. Yeah. Hey. Giving it all. Hey. Yeah. I'm giving it all I could give. Run up and taking my pick. Then bringing it back to the crib. Yeah. You know how I go. We finding the gold, the deeper we dig. So we just keep digging till we finally get it. Like fuck it, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Yeah. I gave you my word, don't break it for no one. You know I'ma keep what I said. Ready for war, I've been deep in the trance. Been thumping since I had them streaks in the bed. Ice in my body, I'm cold under pressure. Recovered like I had no heat in the vents. Shooting, I don't have a conscience. Too much to accomplish, you know I can't leave it to chance. Yeah, throw it in the bag. Throw some dots, I'm Jackson Dart. I'm out of pocket playing tag. Catch me if you can, empty out the mag. Took the lead, I run the track, and I'm never looking back. Going for the moment, always rolling with the punches. Find a way to see through the ceiling, put above us. Smoke is in the air, keep it heavy in abundance. When the dust settles, let's see who